variety tours which Laurel and Hardy undertook at the end of their careers, Stan had always cherished the response of a live audience. The popularity of the late tours was tangible proof of the affection in which they were held by the public. In spite of the satisfaction they derived from the European tours, the gruelling schedule took its toll. In 1954, Oliver Hardy suffered from the first of a series of heart attacks, and Stan Laurel, in turn, succumbed to a minor stroke.
After Stan had had a slight stroke and came home from the hospital, he was in a wheelchair for the first few weeks. And the Hardys, for some reason, hadn't been able to go to the hospital to see him, so they came to the house on Franklin Avenue. And, you know, that could be a very difficult moment. It certainly was. And the bell rang, and Mrs. Laurel went to the door, and there was Oliver and Lucille. And they came in, and they could see just over there Stan sitting in the wheelchair. And he looked toward them, but he didn't speak. And Hardy, it was just absolutely brilliant. He stood there, he looked at Stan, and he said, "Well, here's another nice mess you've gotten into." And he walked over to him and kissed him on the forehead.
While Stan Laurel gradually recovered his health, Oliver Hardy visibly deteriorated. He suffered a debilitating stroke from which he was not to recover, and on August the 7th, 1957, he died.
One thing with my Uncle Babe, I think, comes to my mind more vividly than anything else. When I would visit the set, and there was always a red light over the door when they were shooting, and I'd have to wait until the red light went off, and then I'd enter the stage. And when he would see me, he would start singing "Shine on Harvest Moon," and he usually put me up on his knee, and that's a real fond memory of Uncle Babe.
Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no loving since January, April, June or July. No time, ta'n't no time to stay outdoors and spoon. Shine on, harvest moon, for me and my girl.
Stan kept his name in the Santa Monica telephone directory so that fans could readily find him. And they did. And very often at that door there would be a family of 3 or 4 from Nebraska or Minnesota or somewhere, great fans who wanted to meet Stan. They would be invited in, and they would ask usually the same questions: how he and Hardy met, and how long they'd known each other, and how many pictures. The questions were quite predictable.
Between 55 and 65, they were, you know, among the hottest shows on television, and I didn't get one penny from it. Sad, sad. When I used to talk to him, he was living in an $80 a month apartment. It's a nice apartment, and it'd probably be a lot more today, but Back in those days, it was only $80 a month, yeah. But he didn't mind. He laughed about it. He thought it was funny.
After years of neglect by the film industry, in 1961 Stan's genius was recognized with the award of an Oscar, which he named Mr. Clean.
I don't think anybody is making that kind of comedy now. The one thing that I am certain about is the people's ability to laugh and wanting to laugh is not a bit different today than it was 100 years ago. And they laugh at the same things.
I'm sure he just, it would be hard for him to believe that they're really, in a way, more popular today than they were when they were making the films. Even those people who say were in my age and were in high school at the time, maybe they didn't think much about Laurel and Hardy. But today, they've changed their opinion, and their children and grandchildren are enjoying Laurel and Hardy.
I've seen the Laurel and Hardy films, almost all of them, dozens of times, so there are very few surprises in the films left for me. I know all of the gags, but I just love to be in the company of those two characters because I find them to be such genuinely nice, lovable people. I just like to spend a little time with them once in a while. And maybe that is why the Laurel and Hardy films continue to have such great popularity when other comedies of that era have been forgotten. They have that element of love in them, which I hope is something that people are going to react to for decades to come.
In closing, I want to say that all my years of experience being with Stan and Babe, I am definitely convinced that there'll never be a day in the future that they will be duplicated, because there isn't that talent anywhere. God bless them.
Thank you.